microphone with the last speaker, and afterwards we will do a short discussion in a panel. So this is Sebastiaan from WordProof, and he's going to tell you what they actually are building, or already built.
Yay. Thank you, thanks for hosting. Super nice, the triangle with VID and the legal thing. I won't tell too much about WordProof, but more about the train of thought we have. I give presentations really often about for the WordPress ecosystem. This is a totally new story. Who of you are blockchain developers themselves? Who is a business person? Who's a... nice. What do the other guys do? Drinking, perfect. Let's do, for sure, 30 years of internet, what did it bring to us? Number one, perfect organization of everything, and number two, everything is user-friendly packaged. With Google we find information, Facebook and LinkedIn for the people, Airbnb and Booking for living, Uber for transport. Can we have a small round of applause for the internet? But the internet, as we know it, is broken as well. Trust is decreasing. People are more selectively in what they share on the internet. People distrust it, share less personal information, censorship, fraud, revisionism, plagiarism. Journalism, creativity, and e-commerce are broken in a way. Who of you thinks that blockchain can at least solve 30% of this? Who thinks blockchain can solve at least 80% of this? Preaching to the choir here, but that's what we talk on. Here are some problems: censorship, John de Mol on the right with his face being used, kind of identity fraud, things blockchain has solutions for. Although it's preaching for the choir, I have a 1-minute fragment, and it's about Twitter being built on blockchain. What would it look like? It's Dan Larimer, one of the deep thinkers in the blockchain space. There are many of them. I'll show the fragment. It's 1 minute and 18 seconds.
All right. So let's show you an example of, I use this example a lot. A tweet comes out from an executive, I won't name, and it violates some SEC regulation, right? Stock prices go up or down. People make or lose tens, hundreds of millions of dollars because of that tweet. People might end up in jail for that tweet. We have no idea who actually said it, right? Did the CEO really say that? Or did someone inside Twitter modify the database to make it look like he said that? Or did some hacker from the outside corrupt the database? It's Twitter saying he did versus the person saying, no, I didn't say that. And then we get into situations where, like, you know what, I'm going to say that and then I'm going to claim I was hacked, right? And so people can start to use this, well, we don't really know what happened as an excuse to escape accountability for their actions. So if websites like Twitter were built on blockchain, designed with integrity from the beginning, then there would never be any doubt about who said it.
So that's a small fragment. The most interesting quote he says for me is, blockchain allows to commit to integrity with intention rather than hoping that it just exists. That's the cool thing on blockchain, or if we build every business on a blockchain, yeah, it would improve a lot of the things on which the web is broken at this moment. But where we are today, we don't have any decentralized app with millions of users yet. Why is that? Maybe the technology is not ready. We don't know how to do proper UX. We don't know how to do proper marketing. We as a blockchain industry, there's a lot to learn. What I want to focus on is 4 things we can do to, actually we can do with blockchain today. 4 solutions to fix the broken web. Bit of my background, for more than 12 years I work with the software WordPress. Is everybody familiar with WordPress? Yeah, of course. WordPress empowers 35% of all the websites on the web, more than 10 million websites. The number 2 only does 2.7%, so the number 1 is more than tenfold bigger than the number 2. They're both open source. And what did WordPress prove? WordPress proved that open source software plus a community is able to make a market leader. That's interesting, right? WordPress is proof that what we are working on in the blockchain space can work, and it's up to us to make it work. But yeah, there's a lot of history in open source, both Linux, Android and WordPress, which proves that the things we work on are possible. So number one, open source software. This is a guy, he made the Drupal project, not WordPress, but Drupal. I believe that open source to be the only way to build a pro-privacy, anti-monopoly, and open web. I'll share the slides with all the links to articles where he does a really nice monologue about how he came to that sort of conclusion. But rule number one to fix the open web, to have your own data, is working with open source platforms. For you as a publisher, you as a merchant, in a way you're safe. It's not your platform taking away your data, but it doesn't do something for the readers or for the people buying at your web shops. So one way to fix the broken web is working with open source software, but that only helps the publisher, the merchant itself. During my background's WordPress, before I started with WordProof, I run the biggest WordPress agency in the Netherlands. It's called Van Ons. And in 2013, we did our first Bitcoin project, developing something on it with affiliate marketing. 2014, we made a proof of concept for an insurance company. And then I came to this quote, 2017. In 5 years from now, if you don't timestamp your articles on the blockchain, you're going to be considered a fraud, revisionism. What do you have to hide? And there I thought, wow, that's really cool. Although blockchain is not ready to run full companies on from A to Z, this is something we can do today. So that's where the idea for WordProof started. Currently, we have a lot of news websites, and every news website, they say, hey, this is the date we published, this is the date we published, but the last years more and more websites said, hey, we updated it on this time. Who thinks that's more transparent? In a way it does, but on the other hand, it makes me really curious. What was there that I can't see anymore? Does somebody recognize? Yeah, that's what happens. What you actually want to do is make a piece of content, grab a fingerprint of it and put it in a blockchain. That's a way, it can still be totally open source, which what you can prove that some content existed at a specific moment in time. So that's number one, to timestamp. It could be a certificate of anything, but also a piece of content. You have to standardize a lot to make sure that it makes sense if you want to automate the process. But timestamping content really makes sense. Kind of a certificate of birth. The way we do it with WordProof is really open. So on our GitHub account, you can see how we do it. Here's the type, which corresponds with a standard defined by search engines, schema.org. The version of the standard we use, the title of the content itself, and a timestamp. So that's number two, timestamp, open source, an open source fingerprint. What we mean with that is that the way we do it is open and transparent of this content and its revisions with blockchain. So you have proof of existence, kind of a certificate of birth. And now we get to the fun part. What you really want is seeing what was there. This is an example of a blog post. Scrolling to the bottom, under or in the metadata, there's a button and it says, this is WordProof in action, view this content's timestamp certificate. Here you can see, has it been changed since the last update? And here you can see the previous revisions. You can see all the revisions of the content. And on a Git way, you can see what was the difference with the last revision. What we do here is the check. So the raw input, this is the JSON made to conform the GitHub thing I just showed on the right top. You put the raw input here, the hash that's been stored in the blockchain. Put it in here. And there you see that it's identical, so that the proof of existence was right. So that was WordProof in action, but that's what you really want. You want to see all the revisions, you want them to be able to check. So, yeah, this is what it looks like. So the certificate, and this is, the way to check it, or the way to see the revisions. So that's number 3, make this content timestamp verifiable by any human in an open source manner. And it could be a reader of content, it could be a buyer in a shop checking the terms and conditions, could be anything. But now we get to the fun part. Who's familiar with schema.org? Everybody, on a website you can have content, a heading and a paragraph. But schema.org, there are some parties together, Google is one of them, who made a standard to explain making sense of content. So that's, for example, this content. It's not only text, but it's the name of it's a person and it's the name of the CEO. It's not only text, but it's a location. Really making sense of data. It's not text, it's a Q&A. And what we're working on, and we do that with the brightest people in the search engine industry, is making the timestamps, the standardized type of timestamp, making them part of schema.org. Make sense? When you standardize the way you give the timestamp to a search engine, for example, they can do anything with it. This is the timestamp in action. So this is output schema.org format. So you have the standard we use, the blockchain, it could be more, we work in most cases with EOS, the transaction ID, but also what we do is we make a closed loop of all the pieces of content. So you have the first edition of that content, you have a new revision, and one of the great things we do is we do the hash of the previous revision, we put it inside. So you have a closed loop of integrity. There are a lot of tricks, for example, in SEO, cloaking, so showing the search engine other information than what is actually there on the site. You can't prevent that here. If you do the John de Mol, the identity fraud thing, you can do the same. You can only if the timestamp, and the timestamp could be connected to identity, only if John de Mol himself approves, then we can use him for advertising, but also the proof of integrity. Does somebody take accountability for the content that's been there? Does it make sense? I think so. A big thank you to the guys at Yoast. We don't have an official partnership, but their software runs on millions, more than 5 million websites. They did a lot in defining how schema.org should be implemented on the websites. So we're really happy to be brainstorming with them and come to a great standard. And what we are building actually is a way to timestamp on a lot of platforms. A way to verify it manually, but also by standardizing the way to offer the timestamp. It could be verified by search engines, social media, but also to governments. There are all ways, practical ways to use them. And that makes solution number 4 to fix the broken web. Make this content timestamp not only verifiable by any machine in an open source manner, but also to search engines and social media, for example. One of the use cases, there are links in the presentation, is the persgroep. We do it for one of their titles. It's called In de Buurt. We protected more than 100,000 articles for them. Things we work on in 2020, rolling out to more platforms, working together with hosting companies, big plugins in the WordPress space, so we can roll out there. And what we will do soon is, before the end of the year, we will have a free plan. So every WordPress user, for now it's WordPress, but we will roll out the next platforms in the coming months, can start for free, because we think, proving your integrity, it's a human right. It shouldn't be luxury. And what we will work on is standardization. We're in the process of ISO. We're working on the schema.org with people in the industry. That's the 2020 plan. And what could you do to help? If you have a news platform who shows updated but isn't transparent in what it is, reach out to us or reach out to them, and let's inspire the world to be more transparent with content. It's a great way to start. And what we actually think, or what I think, is timestamping could pave the road to mass adoption of blockchain. It's a use case everybody understands. It's not connected to the financial thing. So I think timestamping, the first thing people in the blockchain space think is, it's maybe kind of a boring use case, but it's the first thing people understand. Everybody understands what it's about. So it could be the way to mass adoption. So let's inspire the world there. The team, me, Marijn, they're all here. Jelle, Frank, Evgeny, and Arjen, you hear them, the legal guy. Let's end with the quote. Blockchain allows us to commit to integrity with intention rather than hoping that it just exists. That's the talk.